And hold on.
Hello. Welcome to Midweek. We're here with Lauren Carr. She's a senior. I'm here with Matt, and I'm Jenna, and he has a game for us. I guess, are we just gonna go for it? Yeah?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah?
Alright, so this trivia game is just called Which Came First. I didn't really have a creative name for it, but I'm going to give you two events or people or things from the Bible that correlate to a certain time, and you're going to tell me which one came first. So they're going to start pretty easy,
Okay.
and they're going to get pretty hard. So we'll see how it works.
Okay.
Alright, who was born first? Was it Moses or was it Noah?
I think it was Moses.
No, it's Noah.
It was Noah?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, you're good, you're
You
good.
can talk it out.
I would say it's Noah because the flood was pretty early on.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I don't know this stuff. Definitely Noah. I read my Bible.
Alright,
Noah.
and
Okay.
yes, it is Noah. He was one of the last people to live before the
I'm
flood.
800 years late.
Alright, who was king of Israel first? Was it Saul or was it Solomon?
It's Saul.
Alright,
Got
that
one.
was pretty quick. Saul, yes,
Yeah.
he's first king. Solomon was the third after David. Who visited baby Jesus first? Was it the shepherds or was it the wise men?
I feel like it's the shepherds.
Yeah, I
Because
think it was the
didn't
shepherds.
I'm pretty sure the wise men traveled from pretty far away. That took a little bit of time. Whereas I think if he was born in a manger, the shepherds would just be right there.
Yeah.
That's pretty good reasoning, and you were right. Shepherds came first, wise men were sometime later. Alright, did David kill Goliath before or after he was made king?
It was before.
Yeah.
Before?
Yeah, he was still like a boy. I think he was like the delivery guy. Like he was like kind of jumping up on the scene, and then he was like, "Oh, I can do that."
Yeah.
Alright, and yes, he was still a shepherd, and he killed Goliath. I think they're going to start getting harder.
Oh.
Was Jesus tempted in the wilderness or baptized first?
I think baptized because I think after, it's like right after his baptism is when he goes, right?
Yeah, I think. Baptized? Yeah.
I'd say
Alright,
baptized.
y'all are doing really good. These are apparently too easy so far.
Heck yeah, let's go.
And yes,
Jenna.
he's
Carrying
baptized
us,
first.
Carrying the team.
But who died first? Was it John the Baptist or Stephen the disciple?
I think it was Stephen.
Yeah, I think Stephen is known as the first martyr. I think. So that's my answer.
And it was John
Dang.
the Baptist. Stephen was the first martyr, but John the Baptist was beheaded during Jesus' ministry. Alright, who was born first? Was it Jesus or John the Baptist?
I want to say.
Wait.
Okay, wait. Somebody goes and it's like, "Hey, are you pregnant?" And they're like, "Yeah," but I think it was like.
Isn't it that
Jesus
John the
born
Baptist
first.
like left in the womb or something like that? Right? Something like that. It's kind of confusing. I can see because like John the Baptist was the one that was supposed to like make the way for it,
Yeah.
or like point to the way, I guess. But I want to say Jesus.
I think it was Jesus.
Alright, and it was John
Oh,
the Baptist.
dang it.
He was born about 6 months before Jesus was.
Oh, okay.
I think that's in Luke 1 or maybe Matthew.
Hmm.
Alright, who became a prophet first? Elijah or Elisha?
Not gonna lie, I've never heard of Elisha. Maybe I have. I'm gonna go
Elijah
with
is
Elijah.
one.
So,
Elijah, like
yeah,
yeah,
the
that kinda sound
J.
like
Yeah, the J.
Okay. Is that what you're gonna go with too?
I don't know.
Alright,
That sounds
then
right.
we'll just
though.
go with her answer, and you are absolutely right. Elisha
Okay,
was
nice.
Guessing.
the prophet who
Very
followed after
Very
Elijah, and
close.
Elijah was one of those people that was taken into heaven. Alright, who was born first, Jacob or Israel?
Isn't that a trick question?
Yeah,
Same
Jacob
thing.
becomes Israel, right? Yes?
Yes,
So-
yeah, y'all are right. That was my little trick question. I didn't think you'd get y'all, but yeah, y'all are doing great. Just make sure you're paying attention. Alright, which book was written first? Was it Amos or Colossians?
Amos, right?
Amos is Old Testament, so
Yeah.
I would assume Amos.
And yeah, Amos is in Old Testament and Colossians is New Testament. Pretty straightforward. All right, who enslaved Israel first? Was it Babylon or Egypt?
So it's Egypt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's Egypt.
Yeah, Egypt happened right after Israel was still becoming a thing or whatever. Babylon happened much later. Was the Tower of Babel built before or after the flood?
I think it was before. Yeah, it was before. I think.
Yeah, sure.
I think it was before,
really
right?
have no clue.
So these are tricky. And it
Oh,
was actually
dang
after.
it.
If it had been before, we might still all speak the same language, actually.
Oh, true.
But yes, it comes after, even in
Yeah,
Genesis.
that's tough.
Which woman came first, Rahab or Ruth? I can probably provide more information if you'll need a hint for this one.
What's your hint?
I guess Rahab was one of the women that helped the Israelites when conquering the Promised Land. And Ruth is the great-grandmother of David.
Say Rahab.
Yeah, let's go
I don't
with
know.
Rahab.
And Rahab is right.
Okay.
King David came after a while.
Very good.
We just have a couple more. Who was king first, Jehoiakim or Jeconiah? Yeah, I don't expect you to know this.
I'm gonna say Jehoiakim because
Yeah.
can't really say the other one right
I
now.
mean, 50-50, that's pretty good.
Hey, there you go.
Jeconiah was king right
Yeah,
after
good.
Jehoiakim. And then one bonus question. Which book was written first, Jeremiah or Nehemiah?
I want to go with Jeremiah.
I'm gonna say Jeremiah.
I don't know.
All right, well, Nehemiah does come first in the Bible, but Jeremiah was written
Okay.
before the Babylonian captivity, and Nehemiah was one of the people that helped rebuild Jerusalem after that exile time. And yeah, that's all the questions.
You win. There's
Yeah, you're
the
pretty
bullet
good.
point
I
is
think
there
that's
is
a
no
good
prize.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Good job, Jenna. Carrying us.
Yes.
All right, so if you didn't tune in last week, then you're probably wondering why we only have one person here, and it's Lauren, but we're going to interview some of our upperclassmen. So last week we interviewed Reese and Naomi. This week Lauren's going all by herself, which takes a lot. You're watching from afar, but we're just staring at the back of iPads and computers, and so it's a little intimidating. So we'll start off with a very easy one, Lauren.
All right.
Tell us about yourself. Where do you go to school? What do you do for fun? What makes Lauren Lauren?
All right. Well, I go to school at Lubbock Cooper High School. Been there all 4 years. And I play tennis for fun, and I hang out with my friends, and I do read books. I'm that kind of person. I really like to read. What else do I do? I come to church, and what makes Lauren Lauren? A lot of things do. I don't know what makes me me. I don't have an answer for that one. I'm just me. So.
Well, you opened up tennis yesterday on the perfect weather day for tennis.
Yeah, that was not fun. I felt like we played tennis in all 4 seasons in a matter of like 4 hours. So that was rainy, dusty. Sometimes there was sun. It was cold. Yeah, not very fun. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I've yet to go to a tennis match that the weather was nice though. So it's either
That's so true.
really
So
hot,
true.
or really windy, or really cold. What's your favorite book or series of books?
Okay, well, I just read Redeeming Love this summer, and I'll have to say that has topped any book I've ever read so far. So, if you haven't read Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers, you should go read it right now, because it's amazing.
Yeah. Story of Hosea in fictional form. All right, so what's been the hardest part of quarantine for you?
I think one of the hardest parts of quarantine was just going from being really busy. So at that spring time right before spring break, we were having tennis. We were kind of getting ready to start wrapping things up for the end of the year. So there were just a lot of assignments, lots of schoolwork. Like I said, tennis was really busy. And then all of a sudden that just kind of stopped. So it was going from being really busy to having almost nothing to do besides a little bit of schoolwork, but it was virtual, so it was just a lot different. So I think it was just like finding ways to use all of the time that I had in a much different way than I would in like a normal summer, because there's still things that we do in the summer, but this was literally like stay at your house for 12 hours in the day and don't do anything. And I think also is like the difference between like being really busy and like finding ways to rest, but not rest in a way where you're like bored. Rest is like being intentional and choosing to do that and just to clear your mind and to meditate on different things, and like being intentional with like choosing to rest and be still rather than like being bored just because I didn't have anything to do. So kind of figuring out a way to manage that. And then also a little bit of loneliness, because I was at my house for a couple of months with just my siblings and my parents, and I love my family, but that got a little bit repetitive, just seeing the same faces and being around the same people. So yeah, just a combination of a little bit of everything.
What are some things that God's taught you through this season, some of those difficulties?
I think one thing that you said that really stuck out to me was like, when we have 24 hours in a day to do virtually nothing, how am I choosing to make the Lord a priority? Because if I can't make the Lord a priority when I have nothing on my schedule, then how will I ever be able to do that when life picks back up? So it was just a process of trying to become really intentional with the way I was spending my time and making that a priority, rather than choosing to watch Netflix or scroll through Instagram for several hours. It was choosing first to go and open my Bible, spend time in prayer, and making that a priority, because if I can do that and I can master that when I don't have anything to do, hopefully it would be a little bit easier when school does pick up and tennis does pick up. And I will say it has been easier, like in the mornings before I'm getting ready for school, I'm making time to spend time in the Word, because I made that a habit in quarantine. And so just being intentional with my time and the way I'm spending it has been something that the Lord has taught me and stuck out to me.
Yeah, that was something that I had a professor in seminary that used to say, you can either sweat in peace or you can bleed in war. And it's a graphic image, but it essentially means you can either put in the work when it doesn't feel necessary, so that when you find yourself in the trenches, that thing's already a part of your habit, your rituals. So when you have all that time, establish the rituals so that when you don't have as much time, that rises to the top of priorities. When you've got nothing better to do, why not establish some habits and some things that may stick around when you get busy again? And now you're busy again. We weren't sure it was ever going to happen. I feel like April never ended, and then May, June, July, and August flew by.
Me
And
too,
so-
yeah, that was crazy.
In what ways have you come out of quarantine different?
Kind of like the last question, just being more intentional with the way I'm spending my time, knowing that sure, I have tennis and I have school and I have a list of other activities that I'm doing, but I also have a choice of the way that I spend my free time. I think a really funny thing was during quarantine, so many people were like, oh my gosh, I can go outside and I can go on walks and I can do all of these things. And it's just kind of that realization, well, we can still do those when life is busy. We just have to make that choice. I can't say that I've been on any walks or done anything like that since school has started. But it was just kind of that realization that I can do other things. I just have to make the choice and be intentional about it.
Yeah, Aaron and I talked a lot about that with our park, because we have a beautiful park that for the first 2.5 years we lived there, nobody used. And since quarantine, it is covered up. People are fishing, and people are walking, and bikes are sold out everywhere, and people are enjoying time as a family. And we're hoping that that sticks around. And we're hoping that even as our family gets busy, that we're continuing to be intentional. How are you handling changes, particular in your senior year?
So senior year has looked a little different than I expected it to, with the masks and the social distancing and just extra precautions that our teachers are taking, and even, with church activities being canceled, of like we didn't get to go to camp and mission trip and super summer. But also it's been one of those things where I want to make the most of my senior year, because it's supposed to be a fun year and it's supposed to be a year I enjoy. I just have to go in it with a good attitude, and I can look past the fact that I have to wear a mask, and I can still enjoy that I'm getting to see my friends and that I'm getting to do most of the senior things. Some are canceled and football games are going to look different, but as long as I'm choosing to have a good attitude, the changes aren't so magnified, I guess. And that's how I want it to be. I want to be able to enjoy senior year and do all of the things. And if it means I have to wear a mask or I have to social distance, then that's okay, because it's senior year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think anybody wants the current protocol to be the new normal.
Right.
But we've got to do this now to get to the new normal. What advice would you give middle school Lauren?
Oh gosh, this list could go on and on, honestly, because middle school Lauren was a lot, and high school Lauren can still be a lot sometimes. But I would tell middle school me, for one, don't take everything so seriously. For whatever reason, middle school Lauren believed that her grades were going to be sent to colleges. They're not, because I'm doing college applications right now, and those grades are not sent to colleges. So if you don't make 100 on every test or an A on every assignment, it's okay. It's just middle school. So, and kind of falling into that, have fun, spend time with your friends, be social, and enjoy the opportunities that you do get. Even if it means that you don't make a team or anything like that, you're going to end up playing tennis. So if you have to stick out 7th grade off season for a year, it's okay. You're going to find out that you like tennis a lot. Another thing, reading is fun and reading is really good, but reading at lunch when you're supposed to be talking to your friends is not good or fun. So talk to your friends. Be social. It's okay. You're going to have friends in high school, and you have friends in middle school, so enjoy them. And then just also loosen up a little bit. I keep saying have fun because middle school Lauren did have a lot of fun, but she could have had a lot more if she had just taken things with a grain of salt and moved on. And just be nice to people, continue to be kind and respectful. It's really important, and enjoy life. Don't have a steel grip on every single thing that comes your way.
Yeah, that's good. How has having a church family impacted the way that you've come out of this quarantine, even the way that you were in it? What encouragement did the church have for you?
I think it was just cool that I knew I had friends, even if I wasn't with them every week. I still had friends that I could reach out to and be with, and when we started some of the summer things, it was cool to be able to go and see them when I couldn't see my school friends. So it was just good to have a community to go back to and be with, even if it was on Zoom or at the picnic in the park.
Have there been any biblical truths or maybe specific scriptures that you've clung to or maybe been brought back to throughout quarantine?
Yes. So one psalm that was introduced to me during quarantine was Psalm 42, not Psalms, that's not plural. But it starts off, and the psalmist is lamenting. He's sad because he cannot be worshiping in the sanctuary at that time. And it starts off with, as a deer pants for water, so my soul thirsts for you, O God. And I like how it just automatically starts off. It's like water is a necessity for life, but also for our spiritual and just our life. Having a relationship with the Lord is important. And then it goes into talking about how when he's not able to be in the sanctuary, whether that's worshiping or with a community and he's by himself, he still remembers that it's important to pursue that relationship, and he needs God, whether it means he's with people or without, whatever his circumstances. That constant communication and connection shouldn't change. And another thing that really stuck out to me was how he chooses to remember on the things that God has done in his past rather than focusing on his immediate circumstance right then, because essentially circumstances will always change and be changing, but our relationship with the Lord should be something that's consistent, whether we're really high or really low. It should be something that we crave and we need. And so it's a cool thing to kind of be able to relate to, but at the same time, it's something that can follow you and no matter what circumstance you're in. So, yeah, Psalm 42.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. If you haven't been engaging with the Psalms, either as a family or as an individual, I don't know a more pertinent book to go to, particularly when things are tough. Their prayers, one, which is helpful to help have a guide to how to articulate our prayers when maybe we don't have the words to articulate them. But also, they're very vulnerable prayers. And so there are psalms of praise, kingly psalms that place God in his lofty throne, they're very lofty prayers. But then there's also lamenting prayers, where David is actually approaching death, or at least feels like it. And he cries out to God in his pain, and in his anguish, and in his joy, and in his fear, and his anxiety. And so if you haven't been engaging with the Psalms, and yet you find yourself struggling, it's a good place to go in times of trouble. It's a good place to go when we just don't have the words to pray. And pray those prayers, and reflect on those prayers, and meditate on those prayers, because they're just incredibly powerful in times of need. How has being a believer changed the way that you view coronavirus and then its impact on our world?
I think it's just kind of magnified. Oh wait, hold on. I started that sentence and then I forgot the question. Could you repeat that?
How has being a believer affected the way that you view this pandemic, and then how it affects the world?
Okay. Let me think. Okay. So, I know what I was going to say now. Basically, it just kind of reinstated the idea that I'm not here to serve the world, and I'm not here for worldly purposes, and like, in the end, I'm here for the purpose, and that alone is to serve the Lord. And so, while things around me are crazy and they don't look exactly how I want them to, that should not change the way I'm living my life, because in the end, if we're in a pandemic or everything is fine, we should be consistent in the way that knowing we have more of an eternal purpose than we do, making sure we're checking those boxes off of our bucket list or just our daily things to do. And I think it's also kind of shown me that things like this bring out a lot of the worst in people, which is sad to say. But at the same time, it's important to remember that not everyone has the hope that we do. And if you're living in that hope and with that knowledge, I don't want to say it makes things easier, but it gives you a bigger perspective. So just kind of magnifying that, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, I was talking to Bobby yesterday, and one of the things that he said is it's magnified whatever thing we already were. If you're an anxious person, you're probably more anxious during this time. If you're an angry person, you're probably more angry during this time. If you're a joyful person, you're probably more joyful, and it's more obvious that you're a joyful person during this time. If you're a cynical, grumpy person, then it's just more obvious. And so it's really magnified who we are. And I think some of us would like to pretend that it's made us grumpy or angry or ugly. But I think if we're honest with ourselves, it's just holding a mirror up to us so that we can evaluate how it is that we respond. And reminded us that we're not in control anyways. We thought we were.
Yes.
But this is a very obvious situation where none of us know what the next hour holds, and certainly not what the next few weeks or months or years hold. All right. Thank you so much, Lauren. I know it's intimidating to be up here on your own, but we're glad you did it. Those of you watching, couple things. This week, we'll be back in Sunday school. The way that's going to look is when you come downstairs, you're going to be greeted at the door. You're going to sanitize your hands. High school is going to go straight to their classrooms. Junior high is going to go straight to our worship area. Our junior high area is going to be social distanced. Our high school classes are social distance. We're going to ask you to wear a mask until you sit down. If you want to keep your mask on, you are more than welcome to, but we won't force you to. Middle school would ask that you do the same. All open like normal for middle school. High school will start in their classrooms, and then middle school will break up. But this year, or at least this semester, the first few weeks, all the girls will be together, all the boys will be together. One thing I don't want you to be confused by, adult classes are doing A week and B week. You're not. If you only come the weeks your parents have class, that makes total sense, especially if you don't drive. But if you're somebody who drives, Lauren, and Lauren wants to come A week and B week, awesome. We're here every week with the youth, every week with the children, every week with the college. So if you have any questions about that, adults or AB, but any age-based ministries, children, youth, and college are going to meet every single week. Also, September 25th, we're going to watch Sandlot in the park. We're going to do it social distance. We're going to be spread out. We bring a blanket, bring a chair, and we're going to watch it on a projector screen out there. Hope you can make it. Bring a friend. We can't wait to see you. Bye till next week.